Rev Don Lewis, coming to you from the beautiful metaverse, and more specifically, beautiful Danville, Illinois, homeland of the Corellian tradition. And this is Midday with Reverend Don. And as you know, if you follow Midday with Reverend Don, you can communicate with me directly through typing your questions or comments on whatever platform you may be watching this program on, and they will appear here in my chat room, and we can talk directly. And as you may have heard, I happen to have my phone nearby, so I'm going to turn off the ringer, which doesn't normally ring at this hour, but we will turn it off today. I have not. This is my first Midday with Reverend Don this week. I didn't do it yesterday because I was recovering from the Parliament of the World's Religions. And during the Parliament, although we brought you a great deal of material at Pagan World TV, Midday with Reverend Don was not one of them because I was busily taking part in the Parliament. Today we're going to talk a bit about the Parliament, and I'll probably do that quite a bit this week because there's so much that happened, so many very interesting things to share. At the end of this week, on Saturday, August 26th specifically, I will be doing a seminar on on the lessons of the Parliament, what I learned at the Parliament, what I experienced at the Parliament. And that will be part of my Patreon, but it's also available to the public for a ticket of $25. Hello to Sir Eric in the chat room. Good to see you. And Sir Eric was with us at the Parliament, along with Sir Arlene, Sir Cloud, Sir Ebony, Abby, and of course, Sir Jason, Sir Chad, Sir Laurie, Reverend Mary Hawk, Don Hawk, and hello to Kazan in the chat room. Kazan waves, so I'll wave back. It was a lovely time, lots of people. Sir Ed, of course, was there with me, and Sir Lord Phoenix was there. Sir Brian was there. Lots and lots of interesting and important people from our side, the Corellian side, and also from so many other different organizations and groups. The Parliament lasted for a week. It started with a parade that we were in, which was quite interesting. Hello to Deb in the chat room, and Deb was with us at Parliament, and it was wonderful to see you, Deb. Sir Eric mentions also that we were joined by Sir Rolando Comon from the Philippines and Lady Rain from South Africa. Yes, indeed. And that was wonderful. We also got to spend time with Byron Ballard. We saw our Aquarian Care Bear cousins. And Deb says it was a wonderful experience. It was. And I'm probably going to ramble, at least initially, because there are so many things to talk about before I settle down to really talk in detail. But for me, the best thing, of course, was seeing people. I've always loved being on the floor at the Parliament, meeting the different people, talking with them. Our own people from other faiths, seeing the different booths, seeing the different acts. I've always been more interested in the booths and in the artistic expressions than in the actual presentations. And that's just an aspect of my character. So I spent most of my time pursuing that. And I saw some wonderful things. There were musical performances aimed at both adults and children. There were dance performances. There was a music and sign language performance, and probably more than one, but one that I saw. And it's impossible to see everything. I know that there were a number of places I was never able to get to because the McCormick Center is a big place, and there were just so many things to do. But what I did get to do was wonderful. I got to attend the Langar, which is the communal meal served by the Sikhs, which happens every day in Sikh temples and has for, I believe, 500 years now. And they consider this part of their service to the world, to the community. And it was simply wonderful. Mary in the chat room says, "Hello, Lord Don." Hello, Mary. It's good to see you. And the Langar, I think, is a very inspiring thing because it shows how it shows you what actually helping people looks like. Because everyone is welcome at Langar, whether they are rich or poor, whether they are Sikh or not Sikh. And the fact that they do this is a wonderful thing. And I'm hoping that in the future we may be able to do something similar in terms of our ancestor house that we are working on. Hello to Angeline de Villiers. It's good to see you. Hello to Raven. It's good to see you. I know that Rain had a wonderful time at Parliament, as did Rolando. And I believe that many of the people in South Africa were anxiously following her adventures. Some of the highlights of the week, for me, certainly included the Fighting for Freedom ritual on Tuesday night, which you will have seen if you were watching our coverage and still can see, I believe. It was a wonderful ritual, beautifully executed, and what a wonderful place for a ritual overlooking Lake Michigan, with the lake stretching out away from the McCormick Center on one side and the center on the other. And it really, I think, was symbolic of where we as modern people stand, with one foot still in the natural world and one foot in the urban world. And that there is a place where these do come together, that they are not separate, or at least no more separate than we choose to make them. And hello to Charmed Healer in the chat room. And Angeline says, I most definitely was following everything. It was amazing. I'm so glad to hear that, Angeline. It was a beautiful ritual. The sky was so beautiful over it. It was breathtaking. And Kazan says, I went to Sikh temple with my friend's family and had dinner there a few times in Vancouver, British Columbia. And I love Indian food. It's wonderful food. And this really is a major expression of Sikh spirituality. And hello to Ravenwolf in the chat room. Another important expression of Sikh spirituality is the turban, which is a symbol of freedom. And so they were doing turbans for anyone who wanted them at Parliament, and many people did choose to wear them for a day to share in that expression of freedom. And it is a very important part of Sikh philosophy. And Sir Eric says there's much more coverage to be broadcast over the next few weeks. And this is certainly true. And hello to Theodore, to Ted Ursus in the chat room. It's good to see you, Ted. Ted was with us at Parliament also, and I hope Ted had a great time. It was so wonderful to get to see so many people. Magadiliata was with us at Parliament. So many wonderful people. And eventually I'll name all of them. But it's going to take a little while because there just were so many. Raven Wolf says, I hope to come next time. Oh, no. Yes, I hope to come next time. And Ted says, it was an incredible time. It really was. And I have to say, now I don't mean this in a pejorative sort of way, but this was not the best Parliament I've attended. It was a good Parliament. But, if this is the only one you've experienced, it can be even better. The biggest criticism I heard of this Parliament was that there were not the sort of breakout areas that usually are there for people to stop and talk with each other. And that the venue made it difficult to tell what was where and how to find it. Of course, they can't help the venue. But they obviously worked very hard to put on. It was a great event. It was wonderful. Um, and the only thing I can personally think of that would have made it better was if they had had more places for people to sit and talk, as they normally do. And Ted says, I feel like the faith rooms and yurts were intended as breakout rooms. They were. Um, and certainly they were well used. In previous parliaments, there have also usually been seating spaces just on the floor, kind of randomly. And hello to Samantha in the chat room. And people who've been to some of those previous parliaments did mention that they kind of missed this. But yes, there were also the faith rooms and the yurts, which did provide for that. So there were lots of places to go and talk. It was a wonderful experience. Mary in the chat room, Mary says it was a wonderful experience. Deb says things were very spread out. It was very spread out, which is always the case. And Sir Eric says, shout out to Twyla for organizing the Pagan Faith Room. Absolutely. Did a wonderful job at this parliament. It was great to get to see her. She received a Corellian lavender stole, which is honorary status in our high priesthood. She did a wonderful job with the faith room. She did a wonderful job with the Fighting for Freedom ritual. She did a wonderful job with everything. And I think she really showed that she is a force to be reckoned with as an organizer and leader in the pagan community. She has already established herself as this, but I think even more so. Laura Gonzalez did a wonderful job. And Kazan says, I enjoyed watching the pagan new moon ritual and Corellian lustration ritual on video. I'm so glad. And we brought both of those to you through video. We did do a lustration of the living on Thursday at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we all managed it. We had a heck of an oracle. It was one of the more remarkable oracles that I can remember over time. And they referred to a number of things that, perhaps we'll talk about them later in the week. I don't want to get caught up in that right at this moment. But it referred to a number of things that I imagine many people don't know about the history of the tradition, including the events that led in part to its founding. And that was a very interesting oracle to hear. It was certainly a wonderful time, and I thought everyone in the lustration did a beautiful job. It was one of the smoothest that I can remember. Karen Silva was the guardian. She did wonderfully. Everyone did wonderfully. It was great to see Sir Ebony through the week, and Sir Cloud and Abby. And Sir Ebony left with the peace drum, which is an important tool for creating peace that was gifted to her at the Parliament. And she has said she will. I'm looking forward to that. There were so many things. I got to talk to old friends like Oberon Zell, Belladonna Laveau, Selena Fox, and so many other people that that I have known for a long time. Got to meet many new people, including people from for example, the Mormon Church, which was an interesting connection to make. The Sikhs. And Sir Eric says, congratulations to Ebony and Abby on their nuptials Sunday. Yes. Ebony and Abby married on Sunday, and congratulations to them. It was a beautiful ceremony, and they are beautiful people. And I hope they have every happiness as they go forward. And Parliament was just a wonderful time. Again, in my seminar at the end of the week, I'm going to be talking about some of the stronger lessons I took away from it. And but we're also going to be talking about that on the midday broadcast for much of this week. Um, Parliament, as you may know, began in 1893. Um, to the best of my knowledge, there's been at least one Corellian at every Parliament. Caroline was present at the very first one, not a participant, but she was present in the audience. And she actually saved her ticket to the event. And we had it with us during the Parliament, and I was showing it to people. Um, and it's a little fragile, very pretty. Um, it's a beautifully designed ticket. And I will show you, I believe I have shown it on the midday broadcast previously. And Sir Ed has been at all modern parliaments. The Parliament was revived in 1993. Sir Ed had been working as a volunteer in the offices of the Parliament for several years before the actual event. He was a stage manager at the event. He has all sorts of interesting stories, and tonight at 6 p.m. Central, we will be showing the film Journey to the Parliament, which includes some of those stories, and a number of different people talking about their experiences at Parliament. I also got to see Dave and Gail Sassman. I got to see the Archpriestess Demetria Nanos from the Fellowship of Isis. Got to see Joan Forrest Mage from the Life Force Arts Center. Got to see Dory Mosrick from Midwest Pagan Council to see and talk to. We did a Nicene mystery play on Sunday night after the parade. It was held at the Life Force Arts Center. If you're not familiar with the Fellowship of Isis, their liturgy takes the form of mystery plays, which explore mythology from around the world. Iceanism honors the feminine divines, and it is very universalist. And so its liturgy draws from everything. In this case, the mystery play was The Mystery of Rhodope. And if you're not familiar with Rhodope, Rhodope is the Egyptian Cinderella, who may be the origin of all Cinderella stories. And in the mystery play, her story is tied to the Opet festival in ancient Egypt, and the mystical union between the pharaoh and the queen, and how this reflected divine balance and divine union. So it was a very interesting play. And, they all are. We did that on Sunday night after the parade. The parade was lovely. The several hours waiting for it to begin were a little bit more trying for those of us with mobility issues, but it was fun. It was lovely to see everyone. The weather was nice in the sense of not being overly hot. It was a beautiful day, and we were right behind our Care Bear cousins, the Aquarian Tabernacle. And in fact, we were, how did we put it? We were between the dragon and the bagpipers. And the bagpipers were exactly that. The dragon was what would you call it? Puppet isn't really the word, but that's basically what it is. It's the kind of dragon that you see in Asian New Year festivities. Hello to Christine Higginbotham. It's good to see you in the chat room. And Sir Eric says the parade was exhausting. By the time it was over, it was. Most of us were able to walk the full route. Some of us were not. But I think everyone made it to the McCormick Center itself, or nearly. Christine says, I love seeing the pictures you posted of your beautiful experience, and I'm glad that you've enjoyed them. There are many more coming. There are many more interviews coming. There are many more videos coming, many more photos coming. Um, there is a lot that's yet unprocessed. So be prepared for more. And and with the parade, it was quite lovely. And as I say, that evening we went to an Icenian mystery play. The following day, Parliament proper began, and Lady Rain, Lord Phoenix, and myself had the honor of being in the opening procession and of being on the main stage um, during the opening plenary, which is a big deal. Um, it really demonstrates how far you can come in 30 years. Um, 30 years ago, some of the people who led the parliament felt that pagans barely had any business being there, and that they were really making exceptions to their rules to allow us to be there. Today, we're firmly integrated in the interfaith movement, and we as Corellians were able to be on the main stage. This is a wonderful accomplishment, in my opinion. It is a big deal. Um, and Kazan says, yes, that's wonderful to see you and Phoenix on the stage. Thank you, Kazan. It was wonderful to be there. Um, I don't know that I ever expected that I was going to be there. Um, but there I was. And it was a great feeling to be there after all these years. Parliament has been a huge part of our lives for 33 years now. And I think it will continue to be. They have not announced, of course, where the next parliament will be held. That will probably not come for a while. But we will be there. And our commitment to the parliament is no less now than ever. If anything, it's greater. And I hope that our coverage of Parliament was interesting for you watching it, and as interesting for you to watch as it was for us to experience. And Deb says, 25 years ago, we were all hiding in a closet, or most of us were hiding in a closet. And that's true in a lot of cases. And I would encourage you this evening at 6 to watch Journey to the Parliament, or watch it later. It will still be up, I'm sure, after the first showing. And this was a film that premiered at Parliament, and it talks about some of those early experiences. It also talks about people's impressions of parliaments over the years. And Ravenwolf says, I think the pre-planning and telethon, etc., should happen as far ahead as possible so we can do as much promo for it as possible. And yeah, I certainly agree. Kazan says, will it be on Pagan World? Or yes, it will. It will be on Pagan World. It'll be on many of our Facebook platforms as well. I believe it will also be on Magic TV at YouTube. So lots of places to watch it. And I think it does reflect the changes in our relationship to the world over the years. Some people don't understand the importance of those changes, but I think it's often because they weren't there then. In those days, most of us had a very strong concern with establishing our right to exist, for want of a better way to put it. A younger generation doesn't necessarily know what things were like before that work was done. I've heard people making light of having a foot on the world stage, but I'd have to say those people don't remember the Helms Amendment and probably don't know what I'm referring to when I mention it. It's the amendment that had it been adopted, would have made pagan religions illegal in the United States. And that was only 1988. Um, we've come a long way. And but it took a lot of work, a lot of organizing, and a lot of structure to do that. And I know there are some people who disdain structure. They're only interested in, I guess, in the moment. But that, I think, is partly because they don't realize how much other people's work has has brought for them, that they don't have to worry about the things that formerly were worried about. And some people do still have to worry about those things. There are places where being non-Christian will still get you a violent or at least a bad reaction. There are places where it can cost you your employment, it can cost you your home. But for the most part, we have beaten that back and moved beyond it. But again, it took work, it took organization, it took it took a lot to do that, and it had to happen on the part of many, many different people. And I personally am very proud of how far we've come. And I think that we still have a long way to go. And that's going to take a lot more work, a lot more organization, and many more years. But I think the future is bright. I think that if we all stay focused on moving forward, then we will do that. I'm a great believer in the idea that energy flows where attention goes. So when you put your attention on the good, when you put your attention on moving forward, when you put your attention on building and creating, um, and in some cases trailblazing, that's where your energy will go. Um, if you put it in emotional masturbation, you're not going to get anywhere. And so many people allow themselves to be distracted by that sort of thing, that they forget what's really important. But I think that it's very important for all of us to remember that in order to move forward, we must continue to move forward. We must focus on the positive, um, in order to achieve those positive ends. And Christine says, when being brought up Christian, the word pagan is negative. Pagans were considered the bad guy. People are just our job to educate. And, there are people out there who would say, why should that be our job? But the simple fact is that we're the ones. We must have control of our own image. We must show the world who we are. No one's going to do it for us. Certainly not the way we would like them to. And this is part of that work that we must do going forward. And with that, I see that we have come to the end of our half hour. I want to thank you for joining me. I love you all, and I love spending this time of day with you. I will be back tomorrow, probably talking substantially about this same subject. There'll probably be other things also. Hello to Samantha in the chat room. And I want to remind you about my Patreon. If you'd like to support my work, you can do so through my Patreon at revdonlewis.com. I'd like to remind you I am available for readings. If you're interested in a reading, private message me through Facebook or Instagram, or send me an email at donlewishp@aol.com, and I'll be happy to set something up. And again, my seminar on this coming Saturday, this coming Saturday, you can see it advertised on my page. On Facebook, you can find it at CarelianPublishing.com. And we'll be talking in even greater detail about Parliament. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. And let us close, as we always do, with our prayer. And Rachel, hello, Rachel. Rachel says, what was that email again? donlewishp@aol.com. donlewishp@aol.com. And Divine Mother Goddess, Divine Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you for all that you do for us in our lives. We thank you for this beautiful world that exists within us and around us. We thank you for the knowledge of how to interact with and affect that world that you have helped us to come to. Beloved Mother Goddess, beloved Father God, beloved ancestors, we know you are always with us, but from respect, we thank you for your presence, and may you be blessed now and always. And I thank you for your presence, and may you be blessed now and always, and I will see you again tomorrow.